Hello, this is Poonam Singh welcoming you to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom brought to you by PW Education. Our theme for today's discussion is Advancing Higher Education in India. Our esteemed speakers are Ms. Rashmi Mittal, Pro-Chancellor of lovely professional universities, and Mr. Dulles Krishnan, Managing Director of Coursera. Ms. Mittal is well-respected business leader and entrepreneur, has been at the forefront of university's growth and success. Under her leadership, the university has become one of the largest universities in India and has been recognized for its innovative programs, world-class facilities, and commitment to students. Now come to Mr. Krishnan. Mr. Krishnan oversees the enterprise business segment, which helps companies and campuses in skilling learners to achieve targeted learning outcomes. Over the past 27 years, he has been helping companies from startup to large groups transform their businesses leveraging digital technologies. Mr. Krishnan has extensively worked in technology domains that support digital transformation. A very warm welcome to our guest. I'm your moderator, Poonam Singh, Assistant Editor at BW Business World. Our focus will be on strengthening academic rigor and outcome based teaching and learning career training to drive students' employability and placement and preparing students for emerging technologies. We are very excited to hear from our speakers about their experiences and insight in these areas. I welcome Ms. Rashmi Mittal, Pro Chancellor of LPU University. My first question is: what is your vision on transforming education through academic rigors and outcome based learning?
See, when we say transforming education, transforming India, so we can only transform India with the education and education to the youngsters. And that's what we are doing in NPU. So it's very important to educate, to transform the students. And how do we do that? So it is only by the new innovations that are happening through the industry collaborations. So then only they can get to the next level. So that's what we are trying to do here. But I think the academic rigor in all kinds of academic rigor is important, whether it is classroom teaching or it is teaching outside the classroom. So these days, teaching outside the classroom is becoming very, very important, because it is seen that normally the student would remember always the days which he spent outside the classroom. So when he's collaborating with his say capstone project, or when he's in some live project, or when he's in some kind of internship in some company, or maybe in the university. So I think those are the kind of academic rigors that we try to now incorporate in our academics. So that's mainly happening. So there would be some load of the students. Obviously, the face-to-face classroom teaching has to happen, but on the sides, I think the academic rigor comes in all these areas. So that's what we are trying to do. A lot of stress is laid on the MOOCs or the live projects, because that's very important. If a student is spending, say, 15 days on some live projects outside the university, or maybe inside the university also, say he's working beyond 5 in some department of the university, so that helps him grow. So that's also a part of academic rigor. So that's what we are
talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the industry collaboration. So I would like to ask Mr. Dulles, because you have a view of both industry and academia, not just in India, but globally. From your experience meeting industry and university leader, how do you see India's higher education landscape shaping up? What are the key trends and priority you are hearing?
Sure, Poonam, and thank you, Rashmi ma'am. I think, as always, very pertinent points that you bring in here. So and some of the points have been there for time immemorial, and industry academia collaboration, I guess, has manifested in across generations, right? I passed out of college in 1992. It was as important at that point in time as it is now. But what has changed today is the availability of mechanisms that allow for that. I think the collaborations are much stronger. There are tools, and especially technology and digital as a platform availability makes some of this collaboration a lot more real, right? So within the industry academic collaboration, a lot of the things that Rashmi ma'am spoke about, I think they have manifested in a much larger scale than how it was a few generations ago. But one of the key trends that we are noticing, and this is not just an India trend, we are seeing this across our geographies, be it in our US market, which is a very different education market, or a developing market like in India or Brazil, right? These are very different education markets with similar characteristics. So we are seeing one common trend, and that's the rise of industry micro-credentials, right? So, and the way this is coming is that industry is coming in as an educator. At one point, industry came in as an educator more in the context of the tools and technologies that they built. So hence they would provide trainer to teach. Let's say I was with IBM and we would provide trainers to a lot of universities to teach database technologies that IBM had, right? Or IBM had a lot of web technologies. We used to have trainers teaching web technologies from IBM, right? So on and so forth. So what is changing in the new world in the micro credentials is that the industry is coming together in the context of the roles of the future, right? It's no longer tied to a particular company's technology. Companies are now investing in roles that will shape the future of work. For example, let me take a simple example. A data analyst is a common role, which is probably the most in-demand role across industries. Right? It doesn't matter which industry you're in, but there is a need for a data analyst because data-driven decision making is at the center. So that role requires a set of skills to be done, right? You need statistics and programming, mathematics. You need data visualization. You need some programming skills, so on, business communication skills, and so on and so forth, right? So companies are building these stacks together that allow to prepare people for roles, right? And that's the new trend that we are seeing, where the industry is not just participating in the context of sharing technological expertise in their products, but they're starting to look at in the context of where will the students work, because there is the future of work, and hence preparing for micro credentials that meet that requirement. So that's a big trend that we see around, right? The other ones, we can combine this with is multidisciplinary learning, which is coming from the fact that there is no one subject which is a silo anymore, right? Technology is getting infused. Think of a technology company. Let's say one of my examples is Twitter, right? You think of it like a technology company, but it is a geopolitical issue in social media. Is a big geopolitical issue in most countries, right? There are laws around it. Data is a sovereignty issue today in many countries. So you're starting to see political science combining with technology. You're thinking, so there are elements of multiple subjects and learning that come together in the context of building the future workforce and the future, how it shapes up. The third element is around the teaching, which is more around the pedagogical patterns, and which is where, LPU, I know, is a leading university in trying to bring not just traditional pedagogical patterns, but also, Rashmi Mittal spoke about bringing in the industry as an internship partner. Children go out and intern. Universities provide projects and internship opportunities. Universities invested in technology platforms that allow for hybrid learning, right? Even faculty needs to be trained in a very different way than how it used to get done because of sheer change at which the roles of tomorrow are getting defined. So these are some areas that we are seeing as key trends in India, and some of them are enshrined very beautifully in the NEP document in India, right? It's usually policy follows change, but this is one sector where I've seen a policy is ahead of the change in the sector.
Yeah. I think it's the need of the hour also, because as the job opportunities are less. So how do they happen more is because of it will happen only when we have industry collaboration. So say we have good industry partners who are coming down to the university, and they would have their setup in the university, and
Right.
they would train the students for those 2 to 3 years, and then finally place them. So I think that's the kind of interventions now they've started, which were not there earlier.
Okay. Now we have just learned the industry collaboration and trends. Ms. Mittal, I just wanted to ask you, why do you think it is important to align curriculum with industry needs to prepare students for job? How are you doing this at LPU?
See, not all the students would be interested in jobs. So we have a very nice career enhancement program. So wherein the student is selecting a career right in the beginning, in the first year of him, and if he wants to be an entrepreneur, if he wants to be, say, in a corporate job, or he wants to be in a government job, or he wants to maybe go abroad, or he wants to do something else with his life. So those are the kind of, and then skill set accordingly. What kind of skill set would he require to achieve his goal? So accordingly, a roadmap is planned for the student. So he would go accordingly in the first semester, what he does, if he wants to be an entrepreneur, what kind of courses he would choose, and then outside the classroom, what kind of boot camps or what kind of angel investors would come and help him, or some seed monies then put him on him, so that, he can start his own business in the campus while he's studying. So those are the kind of, I think, interventions that we try to do it. And in case he wants to be in the corporate world, then, okay, what kind of skill set he requires in case he wants to be in a particular job, if he wants to be in a product-based company or a service or whatever. So accordingly, the skill set is designed for him. And then every summer or winter outside the classroom, then he would do so. So I think that becomes very clear roadmap for the student. Okay, what I need to do every semester, every summer, winter, or how do I have group of students around me or the faculty around me who helps me pave my way.
All right, because you're just talking about how to prepare the students for a job. I would like to just come to Mr. Krishnan. Krishnan, maybe technology is playing a very important part. We heard about some exciting announcements from the Coursera
Yeah.
conference, particularly the ChatGPT powered tools that enhance interactive learning and teaching effectiveness. Could you share with us some key highlights and new launches and how they will transform India's education landscape in coming years? Because technology has become a mandatory part of our life.
Yeah. I guess probably the most searched word in technology world would have been ChatGPT in the last 6 months, right? Ever since ChatGPT got announced and was 3.5 and became public sometime in October last year, and then December is when it really caught fire. I would put it this way. Our CEO is on record saying that he said that he didn't sleep for 10 days because he was just playing with it. That's the way he puts it across. But let me bring it in the context of what we announced, and our announcements are based around what we think could be a potential impact. It's an emerging area, so some of this we will all have to wait and see how they transform. But definitely, it's not that it's going away. It'll only evolve in a lot more use cases as we learn a lot more. So the first one is we built something which is around students, right? And this is fundamentally recognizing that every student is unique. Every learner has a very unique pattern of learning. All of us in our class, not everybody in the class of 60, where a teacher teaches, absorbs at the same pace, right? So all of us need different levels. The way we normally react to that is some of us go to the teacher and take a special mentoring session, go to an office hour, maybe go to our peer mentor, right? Sometimes go to seniors, sometimes go, of course, there is Google Baba where we can go search and get an answer to anything in the world, right? So we all have our own mechanisms of absorbing some part and then enhancing that part. So with ChatGPT and with a human interaction, so what we're trying to do is mimic that coach, right? All of these people play as a coach to the learner. So what we have built is something called as a Coursera coach. As a person goes through the course, he actually has a coach which says, you know what, I went through this video. Can you summarize this in 3 points? Because that's the way I absorb and take my notes, right? Can you tell me, I am not able to understand this. Can you give me 3 examples, right? And at student level, sometimes they have very fundamental questions. They said, why am I learning this? इससे मेरे को क्या होगा, right? So think of it this way. There is this beautifully structured Coursera coach as the first feature that we have launched, which is focused around the student or the learner, right? In the context of enhancing his learning experience and improving his learnability and his skills, right? So that's the first part that we have invested in. And the way, one of the important elements, the way it's differentiated from a public ChatGPT is the fact that it draws on the expert content on the Coursera platform. As you know, the Coursera is built by some of the topmost authors in the world from the top universities or from the top companies. The content is completely credentialed and expert driven, so which means that it's authenticated as well. So this engine actually feeds off this information, not what could be potentially and not so accurate information which sits in the larger internet, right? So that's the big difference in the context of using the power of a Coursera coach, which is powered by ChatGPT, but leverage that in the context of the expert credentialed content that we have, and use that to answer in context for a student or a learner to learn more, right? So that's the first feature that we built. The second one that we built, and we all know that learning is only effective when the faculty is equally, ahead of what needs to be taught, right? Because they are not just a subject matter expert; they're in some sense mentor to students. They actually create the future workforce. If you ask me, the biggest economic output that which a country gets is the students when they start their jobs. But the biggest creator of that, the manufacturer of that, is actually the faculty, right? So it's an important element. The faculties have the right tool, right? And they know their class better, right? When you think of an internet, I treat everybody as a universe. But a classroom, a teacher knows everyone uniquely, and he knows his class capability different. This section is different. This unit of students is different. So we have built a capability which is called an AI-driven course builder, where a teacher can actually combine his or her experience, their own videos, their own content, their own stories, and combine it with clips and content which is built from Coursera. So you can actually say, I want to build a 45-minute lecture, but use it's built on the strong pedagogical structure that Coursera has by virtue of our Stanford background in terms of our founders. That is used in the context of now saying, okay, use this pedagogical structure. I use my content. The teacher comes and say, hey, students, this is paper number this, and I'm teaching you this because of this. And let me tell you, here are the 5 things that are the most important things to do. In these things, I'll give you these 2 examples. And then these are the 2 other videos that you will follow. This is coming from Princeton. This is coming from, Wharton, and so on and so forth. And then the entire course gets created. So it's a AI-driven course builder, as we call it, which is again powered by the content that we have, but the language model, LLM model, and data model that is coming from ChatGPT. So these are the 2 big stakeholders. In addition, there are 2 other additional solutions that we are, that we're building, which is one is around hiring solutions, which we are trying to see as learners learn and leave a digital footprint of their learning. How can I connect that learning footprint into a skill readiness? And how can that skill readiness become an input for a recruiter to hire, right? So, because today recruiters tend to rely on some very traditional approaches of, okay, I run an assessment, people pass these exams, but very difficult for them to know what did the student learn. But with digital platforms, we now know how did a student learn? How was his performance? What are the projects he did? What assets has he created? Some of these can become, surface the student apart from simple academics or a simple score, which may come from an assessment exam, right? So you combine the holistic profile of a student, and hence thereby recruiters get much better opportunities. And number 2, in a world where McKinsey says 20% of the global workforce is going to be in India, I would say what this would also do is that present high quality talent for employment to recruiters in the world. So that's the other one that we announced, right? So I'll leave that question, thought process and inputs for you to take from here.
Yes, you have just given all the reason to ask me one question to Ms. Mittal. How does LPU stand unique in terms of qualitative education? Because technology has already spread its wing. So I just wanted to understand how you identify the qualitative education in your university.
See, first is at the time of admission when you are taking actually the student. So that's also important, that what quality of student are you taking, and what kind of, if a student is good in academics or his percentage is good in the qualifying exam, so we are offering scholarships to the students. So we are trying to bring in the quality student first of all, and then if it's a 4-year program, the kind of content which is designed or the curriculum which is designed for the student, that also is benchmarked with various universities or is discussed with the industry leaders who are coming as a regular visitor, as a part of US also, where is Board of Studies, and then for other live projects and other internship programs when they come for. So then the curriculum is discussed with them and it's benchmarked with the Indian and outside universities. And that's how the curriculum gets designed. And then a lot of things, outside the curriculum also, because the technology is changing every day. So we feel that there those kind of inputs are also designed every summer or winter. So we do a lot of extensive work during summer and winter vacations with the students. A student is, probably going home for a small period of time, and then he's studying here. All those tools which could not be incorporated in the curriculum. Maybe some live projects which are happening at that time. Say a hotel management student would do, say, 4 or 5 months of industry training in some hospitals or in some good hotels in and around the university or maybe outside. So those are the interventions which are happening. And then it's very important to have events in the campus which motivate the student to do. So like we have hackathons which are there every month. So wherein it is, we have relationship with the industry also, where the industry would hold those hackathons, or sometimes the university also does it. So those, and then we have platforms, or it's a kind of where would see where the student is rising his against his course in his how he's performing. So that way, then those things get the industry also gets the access to them, and the industry then also sees, okay, which student is going where, and then accordingly they can also select the student in case they want to for a job. So those are the things which we are doing it, and plus we tell the industry also to, in case they want a student, because normally the placement season is also now shortening, as in a 4-year program the students normally are here with us for 3 years. In the final year they go for placements on the job training. So I think those are the kind of things that we are doing in the campus, and plus also the MOOCs now these days, as Mr. Krishnan is also talking about the Coursera, and all those MOOCs are also given to the students. And in case he's getting good grades there, then he gets waiver of certain courses also, which is in the NEB policy also. So I think those are the kind of things that we are promoting well in the campus, and industry leaders are every day they're coming as guest lectures, and today also we are having some event there. So, and interdisciplinary, since because we have students from different disciplines, almost 150 programs that we have in the campus, that helps the students to join together and do some kind of programs together, and a lot of activities are done together. So a lot of learning happens when the students are working together on live projects and on internship projects in the campus. So we lately we had this Medha 2023, where we had certain problems posed by the industry from the health sector. Those were invited, and then the students were given those for 36 hours hackathon, and where the students then went through that and see the proposed solutions. So I think those are the actual, academic things which are happening in the campus, and it is very important to do so.
Okay, that means qualitative education, as it's other. On the other hand, it's kind of a personalized education.
Personalized.
Yeah.
And
Personalized.
also it is, it is, it depends, if the industry is recognizing you, if they are okay to give you a gold medal in what you've done. So obviously then then universities are supposed to, take that forward.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're just talking about personalized education because of the qualitative education. So I just would like to ask Mr. Krishnan, as we enter a new era of interactive and personalized learning on Coursera, what are some of the implications and opportunities for learners and educators alike? Because we're talking about qualitative and personalized education.
Just give me a little bit more context, and I just wanted to understand the question a little bit more, Poonam. If you can just ask me that again.
Yeah. I just wanted to understand, because we are all in digital era, or we are just interacting. If we are not sitting far away, but still we are interacting with each other. So how can personalized courses, personalized learning from Coursera can give more implication, can give more opportunities for learners and teachers alike? I mean,
Sure.
one way. Yeah.
Sure. See, personalization has many aspects. If I have to cover, and I'll cover this in the context of how some of the universities are adapting Coursera in the context of what they try to do. Right. I'll combine these two perspectives together. Number one, see, if you think of a university education system, we deliver core subjects, and then the students also have the option of learning, making electives, right? If you think from that angle, electives offer an element of personalization for an individual student, right? So that's the first simplest in the context. Okay, I'm doing a BTech in computer science, but a set of students want to specialize in AI, another set wants to specialize in cybersecurity, another one wants to do that. So which is where the core structure of a university's program, the CBCS program, allows for, and the new NEP National Credit Framework also enhances that even further, right? So there is a core structure in personalizing education. First is the stream that they choose, and then within the stream, choosing their interest. The way universities who work with us have done this is, let's say there are core courses in a computer science. Let's say I'm using that as a standard example, I know, but this can be management, this could be, a BCom program, this could be BA in English program. Any of these, it's applicable and across all of them. In a BTech computer science, one of the core subjects that you will learn is something as simple as Introduction to Electronics, right? So that's one of the papers that you will normally have. Now, before you actually get into deep design, or somebody becoming a specialist in VLSI, or somebody choosing from computer programming and moving into a machine learning algorithm specialization, right? So you will learn these core subjects. Now, one of the ways universities have used us is to integrate this. Let's say the teacher teaches something, and they combine that with a course from a specialization on algorithm from University of San Diego, right? UCSD has a wonderful paper on this, or a Georgia Tech has an introduction in electronics, which is a wonderful course on this, right? So that's the way they customize it, so that students get the flavor of a teacher, a global authority, one of the topmost authorities, and one of the best colleges and schools, that exposure, right? So they get the experience of all of that coming together. The second part in the context of electives, and this is more so in the context of the multidisciplinary learning that is coming, the sheer number of electives that today colleges need to offer. So what colleges are now doing is that while they have an ability to do electives within the subjects, but if there is a need and they don't have teachers, what they do is they take a lot of Coursera electives, because ours is built around an university education system. Those electives are then offered to students, right, as standalone credits. So you have core blended learning, and then you have the standalone electives. So that's one part of I would say, personalization in the context of the teaching part, how you're bringing technology into teaching and how universities are doing it. The second part is, which is more career readiness, right? This is more to do with, people study, but then they want to build careers. Now, some of the aspects may not get covered in the context of a core subjects that they learn, foundational subjects that they learn, or the electives that they've chosen. But industry demands more skill orientation, right? So you have foundational skill, and then you have skill orientation. The skill orientation is somewhere where, I would say progressive universities like LPUs, they actually have a career development cell which invests tons of money in building out first and foremost, so they work with industry to find out what do they require, what skills are most in current, so fundamentally what industry is demanding, shorten the time they come to me, and then in the context of when they become productive. So what universities are doing is they're investing that money in preparing the students so that they get ready for a job before moment they get in. And that's where, Rashmi ma'am spoke about the 1 year industry internship is one of the things that crunches that time. Similarly, there are career readiness cell, which builds people on something as simple as human skills like communication, business writing, right? Building a resume, some simple skills that are important, and soft skills, presentation skills. And then there are hard skills, right? Right now, cloud is a high demand subject. In my university, I will have 40 AWS certified engineers, because that's the demand that is coming in, which is probably going to pay the highest jobs. So universities actually are investing in building these skills in the people, in addition to core degrees, in addition to the core education that they're doing. So that's the way a lot of personalization is actually being built, I would say by progressive universities. Students have a ton of option to do it. I wish I was a student today and studying at LPU, because I know that would have been so much more interesting to have so many choices.
Yeah, right. True.
Thank you. Yeah.
There's a full-fledged, personality enhancement programs which are running for every student. So, it's a core part of the curriculum, and a lot of activities which are happening in the evening, so which helps the students to get to his career. So he's right. Yeah. A lot of money is put in for that.
Yeah, Mr. Krishnan has just given us skill and personalized
Mm.
courses. How can we just go about? Miss Mittal, I just wanted to ask you, what is your focus on? I mean, obviously, your university's focus on driving learners' outcome using online learnings.
Online. See, after COVID, I think we've learned so much from the online. And when this COVID started, I remember we were the first university to get into the online mode, because we were already ready for it, because we were already having certain, we are into distance education also, and online courses also we were already running. So because in the evening we used to have these evening classes for the students, so it was already being run, and then there were student readiness programs were also being run in the evening, so it was very easy for us to switch to the online mode as soon as the COVID came up. But I think it's an added advantage now, since it's a blended kind of learning which is happening. Like there's a classroom teaching, and then sometimes, I mean, sometimes in the evening or maybe Saturdays, Sundays, we are taking a time when the student is given some kind of online courses, and then he studies by his own and only, appears for the tests. So the time, because the students these days, they just don't want to spend everything in the classroom, so they want to go back home and then learn certain things there. So that is an advantage, and certain things they just leave it for home and they can prepare themselves and do it. So that is also happening. Industry ready courses are also being run online, and then we have an online programs also which we are having otherwise. And the students who cannot take admission into regular mode, they opt for online courses, and our good faculty, those who are preparing those lectures, and the industry is also running those courses. So we have tied up with them, and they give those kind of courses online to the students in the evening. They take up those, and they just appear, and they have their grades which help them getting into good jobs, or whatever they want to do. And there are certain programs which help them go abroad also.
Okay.
So certain languages or foreign languages that they want to learn, that also appear in online programs, courses. So
And how many enrollments do you see every year? Are they increasing?
they are increasing. They are increasing because, see, and what we are doing is to just help students get into more and more kind of online courses, because we feel that he saves time also. So what do we do is, then in case you get certifications or you get good programs online, and then if you give us good score, so we are, waiving his course off. So to help the students get into more and more of online courses. So that's what we tried, and it's really helped. And in case a student is getting, say, O grade in, say, Coursera, or wherever, and if we feel that it is already benchmarked, and why not, he gets an O grade in my course.
Yeah.
And how much weightage?
If he's spending extra time in the online courses, and I would not tell him to sit in the class for that. So I would give him attendance benefit. I would give him that CA benefit or end-term benefit. So that is what I think. And if a student is interested in being an entrepreneur, and if he does, say, XYZ courses in entrepreneurship, why would I want to be, putting him in courses where he is trained on, say some skill where he'll be into in corporate world? So we don't want that. So that is the kind of pathways that we decided for the student, whatever pathway you decided for yourself right in the beginning. And even if you want to change your pathway, say in the middle of the program, you feel, okay, no, this is not my cup of tea, I want to change into some other pathway, he can do so. So I think that is the advantage. I think as a university, we must do it and must give it to the student, pass it on to him.
Okay, I just wanted to add one more, not question, but one more line to this edition. How much weightage will you give in comparison to an offline courses, to the online courses? How much weightage?
No, depends on the credibility of the online course. If it is benchmarked well with our curriculum, and if we feel that that course is going to help the student grab some good job, or he'll be exceptionally well placed outside, so why not? So then we immediately would give the whole benefit. I mean, full benefit, in the sense that if he does not do that course, it's okay with me.
Okay.
So maybe Poonam, I'll give a slightly another answer to this.
Yes.
Rashmi ma'am specifically talked about how they do it.
Krishnan, I'll just add to this. Because what we've done is, in case a student is getting, say, a 40 lakh package by the third year, then he can go out, he can go to the industry. Then obviously all his courses of the fourth year, third year and the fourth year, they are,
Yeah.
they are gone. They are gone. So we clearly say, okay, if you're able to manage say a package of 50 lakhs or 60 lakhs for himself, so then he's done. I don't need to teach him
Yeah.
all those basic courses.
Correct. Yeah, because
So
he's already moved ahead.
we've already moved ahead. So we are very progressive on that. In fact, the tools like ChatGPT and all, the way you were just telling. So I think if they are incorporated well, and those kind of books or those kind of certifications are there, so I think it truly is going to be a blended learning. Classroom teaching is probably going to take a back seat, and the faculty then maybe it's more of a collaboration than what happens in the classroom, or networking which happens in the classroom, which is actually going to be beneficial. Yeah.
Uh, so one more perspective, Poonam, is this: the new national credit framework actually enables and gives a lot more flexibility to the students. So Rashmi ma'am spoke about how they do it, right? Where they look at the quality of courses and stuff like that. So there is a enabling framework in the policy that allows for using online resources and then provide credit. So that's again progressive policy. Each university is adapting in the context of what does that mean and how do they want to do this. Like, for example, we know we are a partner with
Yes.
LPU, and one of the subjects, NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming in the computer science, it's a very advanced paper. And one of the best teachers on this is actually from University of Michigan. So ma'am and team have actually taken that NLP program from UMich, and that is integrated into their computer science program.
Computer science.
Right? And so that's the approach that people do, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because ma'am was talking about the job placement, so I just wanted to ask you, Mr. Krishnan, can you share insight from how some universities that you partnered with are seeing better outcomes in terms of career readiness and job placements? Because you were just discussing the same a bit.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, right, in the context of job placements, one of the things that industry looks for is what are the student, apart from the core courses, what do they know, right? And skills is the currency when it comes to placements, right? And I spoke about the trend of how micro-credentials actually surface that as a signal for a recruiter to show that what a student is and how they're ready. So I'll give you two points here. One, as I spoke about, the industry micro-credentials, and what we found, we did a survey of students, and what we found that about 96% of the students strongly agree that if, along with the degree that they do, if they have a professional certificate from the industry that is from the big company that I spoke about, for example, a Meta certificate on a front-end developer, or a back-end developer, or a full-stack developer, right? Meta has many of these courses that are there. Similarly, a Google certificate on a data analyst. And so these are the roles that are high demand. So students feel that if they have those add-on certifications, which are these professional certifications in addition to the courses that they have, it will help them get a job. So that's one signal that we get, right? Similarly, when we ask the employers, right? So if you had a student with a professional certificate or without a professional certificate, what would you do? About 95% of the students, and globally this ranges between 88% to 98%, right? Across the globe. They say that if I get a student with industry micro-credential or a ready skill, I will definitely look at them and hire them more, right? So that's one perspective with some data around how industry micro-credentials are helping and readying the students for jobs. The second is the aspect which I spoke about, which is just announced in the Coursera conference, which is the Coursera Hiring Solutions, where we are bringing recruiters and early career professionals, which is essentially students, getting them on the same platform. And the way we are doing this is we are leveraging the power of technology to build learner profiles that are more holistic, which captures what they learned, how they learned, their scores, their grades, the projects, the communication skills. All of that comes together, and the recruiter gets a much richer opportunity. Similarly, these career academy that we run on these platforms along with the hiring solutions gives data to students in terms of, hey, these are the emerging areas. These are the key skills required. If I want to become data analyst, you know what? You need to know these 6 thing skills. a student can actually test it, try it, and then decide, you know what, I'm not good at it. This is not the career. Let me go and do a sales development professional because that's the career I want to do. So that's the other aspect that we're bringing, is trying to enabling the students to get ready, one part, and second, the recruiters to go and find the ready students and get them to come together, right? So that's the two parts of the work that we're doing.
Okay, we have talked about the job readiness, job placements, curriculum, qualitative. Miss Mittal, I just wanted to ask you about, because we have launched, I mean, our government has launched a national curriculum framework. So I just wanted to understand, can you share some examples of how LPU is integrating new curriculum to better prepare students for the future job market?
I think we had already, before this NEP came in, I think we were already following most of the things. And we're already looking at certain changes in the curriculum after looking at the NEP. But most of it, I think 80% we were already following it. So I think the one thing which we're just talking about is the skill ready. I think what we are doing is, when the student decides that, okay, I want to be doing this, and accordingly the skill set is decided. The skill set, could he can attain it from online courses or from other courses. So I think that is also a part of the NEP thing also. So we had started it earlier only, but now we are focusing more stress on all this. And a student is, when deciding, they're called certain star courses which he decides on, and say I want to be say a data analyst, and then accordingly what is the package that I would get, what is the skill set I would be requiring. So accordingly that he's put into those compartments, and he finally gets to his goal. So it's a very interesting process if you see. And the industry also comes in at certain gaps, and the credits are also given to as the NEP policy says, the credits are also given to the same. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I think the repetition of what we've just spoken.
Okay. Okay, now I just come to Mr. Krishnan. Yes, Mr. Krishnan, I just wanted to add, because Ms. Mittal is talking about the entry level jobs. So micro credential for entry level jobs are gaining popularity, with the concept of industry as educator gaining traction. Can you discuss the importance of this trend and how Coursera is enabling universities to offer micro credential aligned with industry needs?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I think I gave you some data around this. So the way we are doing this is we actually built a platform called Career Academy. What we did was we actually worked with McKinsey around finding out which are the top 100 jobs that digital jobs, because digital jobs tend to pay more. So we said, okay, how do we get the higher paying jobs made available to students, right? So that's the fundamental premise which we started. So there was a list of 100 odd jobs. McKinsey called them the gateway jobs. And from there, we distilled that to about 50. And from those 50, currently there are about 36, 37 such job roles for which we today have ready programs that are available, right? So these start from digital jobs, technology jobs like a data analyst or a front-end developer, a full-stack developer, an AI/ML operations, and so on and so forth, or even a simple software developer. Two roles in sales, like in sales development professional, or a digital marketer, or an e-commerce professional. To a healthcare professional, like a trainer, right? So these are all entry-level jobs that are there. So that's one. We created this platform, and it was created by working with top companies. It's companies like Google, IBM, Meta, Salesforce, right? Intuit. In India, it's PwC, L&T, Tally. These are the companies who are contributing towards these. So that's one element of this. So this is the way a platform has been created to consume these industry micro credentials, and that can be provided as an option. And many universities are hence deploying just our Career Academy in addition to the core curriculum for students to explore careers. So that's the way we are actualizing the trend in the context of how it can be productized and given it to students.
Okay. As Ms. Mittal said in one of the conversation, not everyone joins jobs. Some will do their businesses. So I just wanted to understand, what in your universities playing in promoting entrepreneurship and innovation among students? I mean, how they are just promoting entrepreneurship? What is your opinion on that?
Mhm. As I said, the career pathway is also given to the student in case he chooses to be, wants to be an entrepreneur. So a certain seed money is given to the student. At maybe seed money is given to the student where he can, then that helps him, starting some business in the campus. So we have a lot of, if you see food kiosks and the small stores which are given to the students in case they want to start their own entrepreneurship or some startup which they want to. And in the evening also there are certain coaches who would come and talk to the students about what they are doing. And then there obviously the boot camps and the investors would come, and those kind of things are also happening regularly. But the best part which I feel is very happening in the campus is these small kiosks which are run by the students. If it is a say e-rickshaw which is run by the students, or some kind of say restaurant which is run by the student, so there are international students who would run their, restaurant where they would sell their cuisines. So I think that is the actual learning, because till you don't try it hands-on, you will not get a feel of it. So even if you, whatever you may study in theory, but till you practically do certain things in the campus, and while somebody is there coaching you, helping you, or seeing what you are doing and correcting you where he or she can. So I think that's important. So I completely believe that the hands-on has to happen in the campus, and hand-holding also needs to happen in the campus. So, and at any given point of time, you will see in the campus, there'll be like 400 to 500 students doing jobs in the campus, and there'll be around 50, 60 startups. At any given point of time, the students are running. And in the summer vacations, it'll be more, because the students then they wouldn't want to go home and they would want to do their small businesses in the campus.
Okay, they are just nurturing, you are just nurturing entrepreneurs within the universe.
Yeah, I feel that that's important. So any event it would happen. So I would first tell all my students, the entrepreneurs, to come up and put their stalls, whoever comes. So at the time of admission also, when the new students come in, so the older ones, the senior ones, they would put their stalls to showcase what they have done, so that the culture remains, and the youngsters also then try to get motivation from the seniors. So that's very important.
Okay. Mr. Krishnan, as we move ahead, what is your take on how universities in India think about collaborating with platforms like Coursera?
First, what I would congratulate is I congratulate progressive universities like LPU, and I wish there were a lot more of this and a lot more progressive thinkers like Rashmi ma'am, because I do think that is how the higher education will advance in the country. Right? We don't need the straight-jacketed approach. We need innovators. We need change makers, right? And LPU and Mittal ma'am are obviously they are the leading light in this space, right? They are changing the order, creating new, the big word now is rules of the order. So LPU is creating its own, right? So, and others are following. So I wish there is a lot more. And what that will also do is that it will actually force the change, because finally, we will remain a demand-driven economy for sure, right? And our population is large, so we will always have huge demand to fulfill. So that will bring more opportunities, and that will put pressure on existing universities to do that. For example, today we have about 100 plus universities working with us in India, right? Which essentially leverages, our platform in their own respective ways, and so they're innovative, leveraging different forms of options that are available. Right? So there are 100 plus universities, but there are 4,000 plus private universities in India. So that's the ocean that we need to get to. The conversations are very strong, and I do think, as I mentioned to you, the policy framework is forcing change. Right? This is one sector, and coming from a technology business, where in technology we would always break the law, or sometimes go down to the edges of the law, and then we have to work with policymakers to bring changes, right? A classic example being Uber, or an Oyo. So they all were changing the way these businesses were run, right? And it needed regulatory support to change that. But this is one place where regulations have been opened up. Regulations are more enabling. It is what we need is progressive thinkers, right? And what we need is progressive universities who adapt to this new world. Finally, the world will belong to the ones who will transform, right? And that's where the success of our country will also depend. So kudos to progressive universities like LPU, because they are our country's future.
Yeah. We have to be open. Yeah.
My last question to Ms. Mittal. You have given all the holistic examples of holistic education examples that goes beyond academics, including life skills and all. But I just wanted to understand what kind of ethics and social responsibilities LPU is feeding to its students.
I think it's important the kind of culture you are able to maintain in the campus. And culture, I mean, it's not a one time. It's not it takes years to build a culture in the campus. So, and if you see LPU, the kind of students who pass out from the campus, they have to be of certain, level, in the sense they would have certain bent of mind. They would know. So that is our endeavor. We want our students to possess all, social responsibility, what they carry, their responsibility towards themselves, their family, the society, and the country at large, or in fact the world. So I think that is what we try to give, whether it is discipline. So I think if you look at the traditional universities, where I think it's important for a student to be disciplined, first of all, to adhere to the timings, the basic things, I think, so which we are forgetting. If you look at the traditional university, you won't find that. So we're trying to do that. First, inculcate the value of discipline or commitment, and when all these things are done by small events in the campus. Say if an event is happening, how the student is responding, how the student is being on the stage, how he's sitting as an audience, how he's working as a group, how he's managing an event. If all the, may say, 10, 20 events which are happening on a day-to-day basis, they are managed by the student, how can they go wrong? So those are the kind of, whether it is ethics or social risk or all kind of responsibilities which a human being needs to be equipped with. I think that is learned by the events which are happening in the campus. So that's what I do. I'm very clear on that all the value systems that you want to teach the student has to come up while they are in the campus, during the class or outside the classroom, how they move in the society, how they respond to their groups, how they, how their friendship is. So I think if you put your mind in what kind of friendship is being nurtured in the campus, a lot of things could be sorted, and a lot of national problems which we are facing, we will not face if those small things are taken care.
Yes,
couldn't agree more.
That, yeah, got it. Yeah. That is all from my side. If you have anything to share with each other and our audiences, please feel free to talk.
Thank you, Poonam, and it was wonderful to hear Rashmi ma'am as always, and wonderful to hear progressive thinkers like you. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Krishnan ji. It was very nice talking to you, and in fact, what Coursera is doing is great, and I think we would like to partner more with you and see what new, as you said, ChatGPT and all you've inserted in that, and we would really wish that how we can collaborate more. And because as a university, we are very, very progressive and very, very open to introducing such things, and wherein we could help the university, the students, and the fraternity at large.
Sure, absolutely, ma'am, and I'll follow up with your office. Maybe I'd love to come and see your campus too. Right?
Krishnan, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mittal. Thank you, Mr.
You were very nice. You were really, really nice. Of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us. We look forward to hearing more about the future of higher education in India in our upcoming episodes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.